Doris Day stared at the lawyers in the room, her hands trembling. The number she had just heard echoed in her mind. $20 million. Her entire fortune was gone. And the culprit was a man who had treated her like a sister for 15 years. Now I'm going to tell you the story of Doris Day that you've never heard. The story of how America's most beloved star was deceived and how her reaction in court shook Hollywood. 1968 was the year Doris Day became America's most famous woman. She had enchanted the world with her song, Que Sera Sera, starred in dozens of films, and accumulated a fortune worth millions of dollars. Behind that smiling face and innocent appearance was a tremendous business empire. But Doris had one problem. She never liked money. Numbers bored her. That's why she had completely left her financial affairs to her manager, Albert "Al" Levy. Al wasn't just a manager, he was part of the family. He would eat at Doris's house, spend vacations together, and be there during her most private moments. Al handles everything, Doris would tell her friends. I just go to the set and work. He takes care of the rest. This trust lasted for 15 years. For 15 years, Doris never asked questions, never suspected anything. She was content with the monthly allowance Al gave her, focusing on her career. But in 1974, after her husband Martin Melcher's sudden death, the horrifying truth would begin to emerge. After Martin's funeral in the following weeks, Doris decided to learn about her financial situation. When she met with her lawyer, the first news she received shocked her. She had a huge debt. How could this be? She had been working for years, earning money from films and songs. Call Al, said Doris. There must be a mistake. When Al Levy came to Doris's Beverly Hills home, he wore his usual reassuring smile. Doris had known this man for 20 years. This was the man who arranged her money matters, knew her most private secrets, and was almost like a second father to her. Doris, don't worry, Al said in a calm voice. Martin made some bad investments, but we'll handle it, just like always. However, as the lawyers dug deeper, the picture became darker. Dozens of agreements signed with Doris's signature, contracts she had never seen, investments she didn't know about, and the most shocking of all, millions of dollars transferred to Al Levy's own company, made in Doris's name. In the summer of 1975, financial advisors gave Doris the terrible news. Al Levy had systematically robbed her for 15 years. By forging Doris's signature, he had made fake agreements in her name and transferred her money to his own accounts. The figure was breathtaking, $20 million. This was an astronomical amount for that time, over $100 million in today's value. Doris's entire life savings had vanished. How could I be so stupid, whispered Doris, trying to hold back tears in her lawyer's office. She was 50 years old and had to start from scratch. However, Doris Day had a side that no one could have predicted. Behind that smiling, innocent face lay a will of steel. In 1976, Doris Day filed a lawsuit against Al Levy. Hollywood was closely following this case. America's sweetheart was going to war against the man she trusted most. Al Levy went on the defensive. In his statements to the press, he described Doris as ungrateful. I served her for 20 years, he would say. Now she's gotten old and paranoid. But Doris was no longer the old, quiet Doris. For the first time in her life, she was truly angry. During the court proceedings, it was revealed how Al had systematically deceived her. He had forged Doris's signature. He had signed agreements in her name and transferred her money to his own company. He had even committed her to an annual TV show without Doris's knowledge. There was a show called The Doris Day Show, and Doris didn't even know this show existed. In the autumn of 1979, the case had reached its final stage. It was the day of the final hearing at the Los Angeles Superior Court. When Doris Day, at 55 years old, entered the courtroom, all eyes were on her. Al Levy was sitting on the opposite side. The man she had called Uncle Al for 15 years was now trying to destroy her in court. When the judge called Doris to the witness stand, the room fell into pin-drop silence. America's most beloved woman was about to experience the hardest moment of her life. Ms. Day, said the judge, this court has understood the extent of the crimes committed against you. However, I want to hear what you want from the defendant. Doris stood up. Her voice was trembling but determined. Your Honor, she said, her voice echoing throughout the courtroom. A woman stupid enough to have $20 million stolen from her is trying to stand up to you. But I don't just want my money back. The courtroom held its breath. Doris continued. I want to make sure there are no other people deceived like me. Al Levy stole my trust, my friendship, and my money. But most importantly, he stole my innocence. I can no longer trust people like I used to. I can't sleep at night because I think I might be deceived again at any moment. Doris's voice began to rise. But let me tell you this. I am Doris Day. I have been working in this city for 30 years, and I have never harmed anyone. And just because this man destroyed me doesn't mean I will be destroyed. I will make sure he pays the price for what he did. When the judge delivered his verdict, a moment that would go down in Hollywood history was witnessed. Al Levy was found guilty and ordered to pay Doris Day $22.8 million in compensation. However, what was truly historic was Doris's next move. I don't want this money for myself, she said in court. I'm donating half of this money to a foundation that will protect elderly people from financial fraud. The courtroom gave her a standing ovation. America's sweetheart, even in her darkest moment, was thinking of others. With the compensation she received from Al Levy, Doris Day established the Doris Day Animal Foundation. She dedicated the rest of her life to animal rights and protecting elderly people. This case opened a new chapter in Hollywood. For the first time, a celebrity had so openly exposed and won against their manager's financial abuse. Doris Day's brave stance led many other celebrities to file similar lawsuits. But perhaps her most important legacy was this. Doris Day, even in the hardest moment of her life, had not lost her goodness. Money had not changed her, and neither had the theft of money. Her last words in that courtroom were perhaps the best reflection of her true character. I will continue to trust people. Because distrust is a greater loss than stolen money. When Doris Day died in 2019 at the age of 97, she left behind not only her songs and films, but also her fight for justice and resilience. America's sweetheart had managed to remain worthy of love, even in her darkest moment.